There's no pine tree. And these little wings looking things right here, you can just break off and they're full of fat wood. So that is one use for a pine tree, is to gather fat wood for a fire, but I've got something else in mind for it. See how orange that is? That's a poor man's gold. One of my uses for pine is I'm going to use it as a mallet. A piece of pine. It's wet. Most of the time you can tell a pine tree by its bark. It has a real rough outer bark, and on the inside it has a white, light colored bark that it looks like it's easy to peel off or to scrape off, and that's what we're trying to get to. You can eat that inner bark. See, this is the inner bark. Now what I researched and found is you just take a small piece from the tree and open it up, and what will happen is sap will replace this and try to salvage it, or it's kind of like a bandage, so it'll protect the tree when the sap forms up around it. So that's just a small piece, and you can eat it right off the bark or off the tree. It's kind of piney, but it's not turpentine-y. It's a little bitter. We're going to try to get some more strips. Okay, I could use my axe to beat this in the ground, But with the metal in such a small area, I could damage this or I could miss and hit my finger. So I take my mallet with a lot more surface area and I'm able to beat it into the ground. I'm going to take those 3 winged pieces of fat wood and I'm going to scrape them. One of the things you can use fat wood for is to get a fire going. You can just smush them together and they'll kind of stick together. And on these pieces of fat wood, what I'm going to do, I'm going to make curls. So hopefully it'll catch a little bit easier. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it and I'm going to insert it right here with these other pieces. Now you have a fire torch. Something I didn't take in consideration was this might drip. If it was sap, I would expect it to drip, but I know as this burns, maybe some of the sap will come out. So one of the things you might need to do is clean out around where you're going to have your, yep, see it's starting to fall, and I didn't take that in consideration at all. My base is a piece of pine, my brace is a piece of pine, my firewood is pine, my tinder is fat wood. So everything I'm using pretty much here is from pine. I wasn't even close to it and it caught a spark. That's how easy fat wood goes up. And see, these curls, well, normally I would try to get them better than that. But with that fat wood burning, they'll catch. Here's some better curls. I just did that to show you that even if your curls are crappy, that you can still get it lit. Okay, I found a young pine tree, and I'm just going to get a few of these. I got one piece, it caught on fire. It's pretty crispy, That's gonna be the piece that I'm gonna test out and see what it tastes like. Get the black off of it. It snaps because it's dried. Actually, that's not bad. It doesn't taste piney. I guess I got a little piece of the burnt in there. I like my bacon, my real bacon, a little crisp anyway. That is actually not bad. I'm glad that I tried this. The consistency though, it's kind of hard to swallow. There we go. The other pieces are still soft, but like I said, you can peel it right off of the tree and eat it right off the tree. Very little pine taste to it. Another use for a pine tree, take the young pine trees and pull the pine needles off of them. And you can take the very ends and eat them, but I've already eaten enough of a pine tree today, I'm not going to test that out. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a handful of pine needles and I'm going to use my mallet and I'm going to try to beat on the ends just a little bit. Now, different people had different things to say whenever I was researching it. Some people said bust them all up. Some people said bust them up just a little bit. And from past experiences where I've made pine needle tea, it shot right through me. So I'm not going to bust them all up. I'm just going to bust the ends up a little bit. They're a little tacky, a little sticky now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to boil my water. And once I get my water boiled, I'm going to add my pine needles to it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pine needles and just put down in there. I'm going to let it sit for about 10 minutes. And while I'm letting this soak up all the vitamin C, I'm going to clean up my area. Smells like a Christmas tree. Maybe if I would have boiled it in there, it would have brought out some more color to it. Mine is still good and clear. Somebody said that theirs had a greenish tint. I have boiled it in the past and it had a whitish tint to it. This is what it looks like. And it's been in there about 10 minutes. It reminds me of Christmas. Definitely tea-ish. If I would have thought, I'd have brought some sugar to put in here, but it'd be really good with sugar. It's not bad. So my at least 2 uses for a pine tree was I made a mallet from a down pine tree. I made a torch from the fat wood from a pine tree. I used it as a tinder to light my fire. I used it as firewood and I used it to make a tea. So that's my at least 2 uses for a pine tree. Nine minutes and 25 seconds and it's still burning, just barely.